Real Virginia is proudly produced by the Virginia Farm Bureau Federation. Since 1926, Farm Bureau has been working to preserve Virginia farms and our rural heritage. Visit our website at vafb.com.
Hello everyone, and welcome to Real Virginia, a show about Virginia agriculture and the people who produce the wonderful local products we enjoy. Brought to you by the Virginia Farm Bureau. Litter is not just a city problem. Loose trash costs farmers thousands of dollars every year. Now that summer is here, weeds are back. Mark Viette shows us how to identify and control them. And alpacas and llamas are very popular livestock animals on small farms.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay, Atlantic to Appalachia, home in my heart always.
Welcome back to Real Virginia, everyone. We're coming to you this week from Short Pump Park in Henrico County, where you can see there are plenty of trash cans to use. Burke Moeller reports that unfortunately, too many people are just trashing the Virginia countryside.
Landfills like this one in Sussex County are where trash is supposed to end up. But too often in rural Virginia, that's not the case. A new bill is set to take effect that would increase the penalties for those who litter, while also driving home the point that if you're going to throw away your trash illegally, you're also going to be throwing away your cash.
It affects us a lot. We have to stop the machinery and stuff and pull it out of the combines.
Garland Comer is president of the Halifax County Farm Bureau and has seen all kinds of garbage on county roads and farms.
We've always got the traditional beer bottles and drink cans, but we found just a whole trash bag itself being dumped in the field. I don't know if they fall out of the back of cars or people throw them out, but I mean, it's a whole trash bag of anything and everything that you can imagine.
For several years, Delegate James Edmonds and his daughter have constantly picked up trash left on the road near their home in Halifax County.
I can't think of a more disrespectful way to treat your fellow man and your environment than to say, okay, I think I'd rather have this trash on this person's property than, in the trash can.
Edmonds' district includes Halifax, Charlotte, and Prince Edward counties and part of Campbell County. He introduced a bill that would increase the minimum penalty for those who litter from $250 to $500. In addition, violators could face a maximum fine of $2,500, up to a year in jail, and 10 hours of community service. The bill was passed in the 2021 legislative session of the Virginia General Assembly and will take effect July 1st. The Virginia Farm Bureau Federation supported the bill.
If a farmer loses a single tractor tire to a puncture from glass or metal litter, that can be $500 or even $1,000. Losing a single dump trailer of grain can be $1,000 plus. So this helps bring that penalty more in line with the risks and the damages that illegal littering can cause for a farmer.
M.L. Everett Jr. grows cotton and other row crops in Southampton County and serves on the Virginia Farm Bureau Federation Board of Directors. He's particularly concerned about one kind of trash.
Most of the litter that concerns us are plastic bags that merchants use to put their merchandise in. These plastic bags, as a cotton grower, sometimes gets tangled up in the picking operation of the cotton, and it contaminates the cotton with the plastic fibers that the machine head tears all to pieces when it runs through the machine.
Everett has seen just about every kind of garbage left behind. He's even seen used tires left on the roads and has become involved in a yearly tire recycling program for farmers in the county. As part of the new law, the Virginia Department of Transportation will also be putting up new warning signs throughout the Commonwealth. And a mobile app like one used in North Carolina is being developed that would allow people to take pictures of illegal trash and easily report it to Virginia State Police. Farmers are hoping that by working together, all Virginians can help the beautiful countryside stay beautiful and safe for farming. In Southampton County, I'm Burke Moeller reporting.
Finding ways to reduce litter in the countryside is a classic example of Farm Bureau grassroots efforts in action. Roadside trash has been a problem for rural Virginia for decades, and farmers from around the Old Dominion met to talk about possible solutions. Then they contacted their elected representatives to seek support, from land use policy to property rights to financial support for farmland preservation programs. Farm Bureau members have been successful for almost a century in speaking out for agriculture and rural Virginia.
I'm Mark Viette. Coming up on In the Garden, I'm going to talk about weeds, so stay with us.
We're stronger together, especially at this difficult time. For over 90 years, we've watched our membership grow, and we're honored to be part of such a special community. Thank you to the farmers who provide for us every day. Virginia Farm Bureau is proud to serve our members, their families, and to give back to our local communities. That's the Farm Bureau way.
Weeds are the bane of every Virginia gardener. Mark Viette shows us some common undesired plants and how to try to control them. In the Garden.
Have you ever heard of Johnson grass? Well, if you haven't, you don't want it. It is one of the most difficult weeds to control. Most weed killers won't kill it. If you have it, and we're near a road here, you'll see it commonly grown along the highway. It grows this big. What can you do with it? You can mow it to the ground. That's probably the easiest, except we're not allowed to mow along the road. Or in flower gardens, you can just pull it out of the garden, and you can see why this is a really tough weed. It produces long rhizomes that pop up here. Next one pops up here. The only spray that you could possibly use early in the spring is known as Bonide's Grass Beater. And it's a weed killer that just kills grass, but the grasses have to be young and short, less than 8 inches tall. One weed, and I shouldn't be touching it, I'm going to regret this, is the weed with 3 leaves, and that is known as poison ivy. And what happens is, let's say you're in here pruning your trumpet vine. Here's the trumpet vine. That can become a weed. You're pruning it. Oh, there's no problem with pruning this. But intertwined in the trumpet vine is poison ivy. So you have to really be careful. And a lot of times poison ivy will carpet the ground with little runners. So sometimes I'll take a rake and rake it out of the flower garden. Again, lots of weed killers. I don't want to focus on weed killers other than the fact that you need to read the label, because a weed killer that might kill the poison ivy might be a weed killer that will not kill this Johnson grass. The weed killer that will kill Johnson grass may not kill the poison ivy. Another weed that many of us have in our garden, might not see it till now, is pokeberry. And the best way to get rid of it is to dig out the root. Now, I'm not going to do that for you because it's going to take too long. But what you're going to do is come in with the sharp shovel. Now remember, these roots can go down 3 feet deep. So the more you cut this and the deeper you cut it to the ground, where year after year it doesn't get fresh leaves, the better the chance you're going to have to eliminate it. Here we have a cornucopia of my most hated weeds. Well, foxtail isn't the worst one. They're pretty easy to pull out of the ground. Normally, I would shear them before they got to this stage in producing their seed, or I would cut them and have a lawn sweeper and dispose of as much of it as I can. I guess my next hated weed, well, there's 2 for the tie. It's known as mare's tail. And this is sort of looks like, I did trim it back, but this is what the foliage looks like about a month ago. Then it grows into this. Then it grows into this. And just watch This has 250,000 weed seeds, just one stem. One of my disliked weeds. Cut it back, shear it. A lot of people ask, what about weed killers? Roundup doesn't touch it. 2,4-D doesn't touch it. Most of the weed killers, as homeowners, will not phase this weed. It's a really tough, but it's easy to pull out of the ground. The last weed that's tied with this, mare's tail, is going to be yellow nutsedge. My grandfather, when I was a kid, before they had weed killers, yellow nutsedge is a sedge. So you can get weed killers that say control sedge. You always have to read the label. You always have to be careful if you're using it around plants. But my grandfather would have me dig it up like this, and he would have a wire screen, and every little nodule on this weed would, and that's that small, would have to be screened out of the soil. Because if you just pulled this up, forget it, it's going to come back next year. So he would have a wire screen that I would shake back and forth to prevent those little baby nodules. It's like those onions that grow in the garden. You pull the onion, you leave most of them under the ground to come up next year. Get your workout, get rid of yellow nutsedge. I'm Mark Viette. Join me next time in the garden.
For more garden tips, go to inthegardenradio.com.
Hi, I'm Chef Tammy Brawley from The Green Kitchen. Coming up on Heart of the Home, some fabulous shrimp and crawfish dip. Stay with us.
And now, a sneak peek into a day in the life of a Virginia dairy cow. They get their day started. They have some lunch. Get some exercise. Spend time with their friends. And then end their day with dairy sweet dreams. Real dairy, real life, real delicious.
There's nothing like a little seafood to spice up an early summer picnic. Chef Tammy Brawley shows us her recipe for a crawfish and shrimp dip in the heart of the home.
Hi, I'm Chef Tammy Brawley from The Green Kitchen. Here today we are planning to make some delicious crawfish and shrimp dip. You know, when I was a kid, we used to catch crawfish, called them mud bugs. Used to catch them in the creek. Never thought I would have been eating them many years later. So we've got some delicious crawfish here and some shrimp. We've got some butter melting in our pan. We're going to add that to the hot butter. You always want to make sure that whatever fat you're choosing to use, it is hot before you add your product. That's really, really important because you don't want that product to absorb all that fat. And seafood, as I'm sure you know, does not take very long to cook. And the crawfish are actually already cooked. They're in the freezer section of your seafood guy. So we're going to take about 4 or 5 minutes here to cook our seafood. All right, so now that the seafood is cooked about 4 or 5 minutes, we're actually going to remove it to our food processor. You want to try to leave your fat in the bottom of the pan because we're going to be doing some more sauteing. So it's best to use a slotted spoon. All right. Now we're going to process it, but we don't want it really, really fine, so we just kind of want a rough chop there. We're going to do a little pulsing. And then, oh, that looks perfect. Then we're going to remove it to our bowl. Tell you guys a little trick that use a food processor. If you want to dump something out, usually the blade follows along behind it. I always take the blade from underneath and put my finger there and grip it. And then that way, when I want to turn it upside down, my blade stays in place. Nice little kitchen tip. We will be coming back to the food processor in just a moment. So we still have our fat in the pan. If you feel like you need more, it's perfectly fine to add more. I personally don't think we need to, so I'm going to leave that be. Now we're going to come back and we're actually going to add some vegetables. We've got some chopped celery, chopped bell pepper, and some chopped onion. Whatever vegetable you want to use. You could use a green bell pepper, yellow. I think colors are always really, really pretty. As they say, you eat first with your eyes. All right, I think our onions are looking pretty good here. We're going to go ahead and add this mixture to the food processor. Now we are going to come back to more sauteing, so we probably will want to add a little bit more fat. I'm using butter today, but you can certainly use olive oil if you choose. We're going to pulse up the vegetables, just like we did the seafood. A little bit more processing is in order. Oh yes, looks delicious. And you actually kind of want to keep it somewhat chunky. That's why we're not pureeing it really fine. And we're going to go back into our pan with the vegetables. Again, I'm going to hold my blade in place with my finger underneath. All right, we're going to saute the vegetables just a little bit. And now we're starting to add our other flavor components, our spices. We've got some Creole seasoning here. We're going to sprinkle that over the vegetables. Creole seasoning can be found in your spice section of your grocery stores, or you might even be able to make your own. All right, now we're going to add a little flour. This just adds a little bit of a thickening agent to the mixture. You want to kind of cook it down a little bit. You really don't want to see any bits of white when you're stirring this around. I can tell it's already starting to thicken up like it's supposed to. A little bit of tomato paste. Move that around. Now we're going to come back and add our seafood that we chopped earlier. Going to add in a few green onions. Adds a nice little color to it. A little bit of Worcestershire. That adds a nice little salt kick to it, so you notice I'm not even adding any salt or pepper. And then the last thing I want to add is a little bit of hot sauce. Hot sauce of your choice. I don't know if you're like me, but I've got about 20 different hot sauces in my cabinet. I go through my favorites. This happens to be a little chipotle one, and it just gives a nice little kick to it as well. All right. And there you have it, a delicious shrimp and crawfish dip. Hopefully you'll make this part of your entertaining this summer. I'd like to show you how I like to serve it. And that is with some crusty baguette and some garnish of green onions on the top. Absolutely delicious. I'm Tammy Brawley from The Green Kitchen. Join us next time on Heart of the Home.
Recipes from the Heart of the Home can be found on the Virginia Farm Bureau website at vafb.com/recipes, as well as on Chef Tammy Brawley's website at greenkitchenrichmond.com.
When it comes to raising seafood, Virginia is the third largest state in the nation for a fresh catch. The dockside value of all marine products sold in 2019 came to more than $184 million. The number one product from the Old Dominion is shellfish like clams and oysters, and many of those products are now farm-raised. Virginia's commercial fishermen also harvest blue crab, sea scallops, menhaden, summer flounder, striped bass, spot, black sea bass, and blue catfish. Approximately 6,000 Virginians work on the water, and about 123 million meals are made from the seafood harvested in the Old Dominion each year.
These South American natives have found a new home in Virginia. Alpacas and llamas are being raised by some smaller scale farmers for fun and profit. Ricky Gibson reports.
If Virginia is for lovers, then alpacas and llamas may be the perfect livestock to raise here.
I think everybody that I know that has them just loves their alpacas. It's a great addition to your farm.
Linda Pollock raises both alpacas and llamas at her Hanover County farm. They're both members of the camelid family, but have significant differences. Llamas are the larger variety and can take out an attacking dog or coyote.
They're natural guards. They kind of patrol the fences. And I think even when you first came here, you noticed the llama came right up to sort of check you out. They're very in tune to keeping their alpacas safe. So for us, that's our most effective use. On other farms, they're used as pack animals. They can move things from one place to another. They can pull little carts. You know, they're strong.
Carol Miracle has 11 alpacas on her Goochland farm. She says folks interested in raising alpacas or llamas should visit other farms to see how they are running their businesses, then adapt those practices to their own situation. Many owners are making money off their animals, not just raising them on a hobby farm.
I would tell them they need to look at their land, see how much they can have, check with their county, and find out what the ordinances are. I would give them a list. I have a list of things for a new farm. They can go down the list. What are you going to do with the manure? Are you going to spin? Are you going to use the fiber yourself? Are you going to send it to a mill? There are many, many things to consider when you're starting an alpaca farm. If you just want pets, I would suggest getting young ones, and I would suggest getting females because the males like to fight. Typical boys. But it's very easy to start a farm. Alpacas are easy to take care of. And I think the biggest thing is to do research and find out and decide what you want to do and then kind of go from there.
Alpacas are raised on 356 Virginia farms, llamas on 267 farms. Most income is from selling breeding stock or alpaca fiber. While llamas are great as guard and pack animals, Stephanie Maynard raises her alpacas in Goochland County to sell their wool and greet visitors to her farm.
I hand process their fiber, and then I sell my bats to spinners that then make yarn out of them. And so that's one aspect of my business. The other one is we have events. We have small events, more like group gatherings. It's romantic picnics with the alpacas. It's girlfriends, wine afternoon with the alpacas. People like to get to meet them.
They're shorn once a year, and they're fiber animals for us. We have the fiber, we collect it, we process it. It turns into beautiful yarn, and it can be felted. Anything you can do with wool, you can do with alpaca, but it feels more like cashmere. It's a very soft and a very sensible product to use for, any kind of yarn or garment that is knitted, crocheted, woven, felted. It's a beautiful fiber. It comes in 21 natural colors, and you see a few of them here, different shades. So that's what our farm is, a fiber farm.
Both breeds are a good fit for small farmers. Alpaca manure is also good for gardens. Some Virginia farmers have agritourism operations where llamas are pack animals. They make good guardians for sheep flocks. Terry Phipps raised alpacas for decades and still acts as an advisor to other breeders. She agrees their gentle nature is a big plus, and their fiber has many uses.
When I first started, I was very fortunate to have a group of 14 4-H kids that trained the alpacas for me. And we were involved in a lot of obstacle courses and competitions and parades and lots of special events that we did. I've had alpacas that have been a part of weddings, have been at art openings wearing costumes and holiday parades. And I also have a number of alpacas over the years that have been donated for animal therapy programs. Since I am not doing anything with fiber right now, I thought that it would be good for someone to put it to good use. And so I have contacted
VCU's Fiber Arts Department, and their assistant professor came out and she took quite a bit of fiber with her, and she said she was thrilled, and she is going to be sending me pictures and videos of the things that they're going to do with their fiber.
One reason the breeder community is so close in Virginia is they stay in touch and mentor each other. Phipps helps out at the alpaca and llama exhibit at the State Fair of Virginia every fall. It's a chance for the public to meet their animals firsthand and for growers to share experiences.
We have different farms that come in every day with their animals and their products that they make or that they carry from the alpacas. And you can go in and you can talk to such a wide variety of people with a wide variety of styles of farm and what their priorities are for running their farm, whether it be reproducing the animal and selling offspring, or it's from a fiber standpoint, or from a therapy standpoint. Also, there's some folks that do birthday parties and other events with their alpacas on the farm, or their mobile alpacas, and they'll trailer them and take them to events. But there's so many different ways to be involved in this industry, and by going to the State Fair of Virginia, you've got an opportunity at the Young McDonald's barn to meet these different people and these animals and to interact with them.
Whatever reason you have for raising alpacas and llamas, breeders agree you'll find they will change your perspective on life for the better.
Once you have them, you're going to spend more time in your barn than you thought you would because they're fun to watch. They're bring your blood pressure down because they're so peaceful.
They all have their own personalities. They're fun. I love to watch how they interact with each other. In fact, when we started, our goal was to breed and to sell the offspring, but we couldn't part with the offspring. They were our babies. So we kept them, and we have become just a hobby farm basically, and we love it.
They have a spirit that is kind of hard to identify, I guess, but you feel it. Like, you definitely feel it. They're calming, they're sweet, they are curious, and they're just wonderful to take care of. They really are. They're wonderful to get to know.
Yes, it's safe to say that Virginia is definitely for alpaca and llama lovers. In Hanover County, Virginia, I'm Ricky Gibson reporting.
We're so glad you could join us this week to celebrate all the bounty Virginia has to offer. From the kitchen to your home and garden to our beautiful wide open spaces, we are proud to say that this is real Virginia. For everyone from the Virginia Farm Bureau, thanks for watching. Make it a great week.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay.